I'm going to start this video off with a very creepy legend. The legend of the horned skeletons of Spanish Hill. Back in the 1880s in Pennsylvania, burial mounds were found and huge skeletons were unearthed. The skeletons were said to be 7 to 9 feet tall, and their skulls were said to possess horns. Not 2 horns, but 4. 2 horns just above each eyebrow. These huge skeletons were dated to be 800 years old, and they look like perfectly normal human skeletons, except of course for their horns and their size. The location where these spooky skeletons were found is known as Spanish Hill. Spanish Hill was known to some in those times as a place of devils, as many people said that they would come face to face with horned apparitions in the exact area where the horned skeletons were found. These huge bones were taken to the Philadelphia Museum, and not too long after that, they disappeared without a trace. Now, since there is no evidence as the skeletons were stolen, most people just ignore it as a hoax or just pure BS, and rightfully so. Some people also suggest that the horned skulls were just ancient Indian masks, or the burial mounds were filled with antlers and the story just took on a life of its own. But this is not the only incident of alleged giant skeletons found that possesses horns. A human skeleton was found with horns in an El Paso mining area. A Texas Ranger also confirmed this as he stumbled upon the find while trying to solve a murder case. Also, not too far away from Spanish Hill, just south of Elmira and Westville, more giant horned skeletons were unearthed. I know how crazy it sounds for a human skull to possess horns, but it might not be as crazy as one might expect. There are people that do possess horns. Scientists believe it's an ancient gene that on rare occasions will reveal itself. If these giant people did in fact exist, maybe they had ancient DNA, and on rare occasions, some of these giant people might have possessed horns. During the late 19th century and early 20th century, archaeologists, as well as just random people, were digging up these giant skeletons left and right. I did a video not too long ago about the giant skeletons found in Wisconsin. These skeletons were allegedly 8 to 10 feet tall, and they also mysteriously vanished without a trace after being sent to a museum. Most of these skeletons that were found in the late 19th and early 20th century were found in ancient Indian burial mounds. Today, it's against the law to disturb any Indian burial mounds or any Indian graves. So that might be why we're not finding them today like we did in the past. There are also a lot of theories that suggest that these giant people that roamed the Americas were not Homo sapiens at all, but a different species altogether. I know it sounds crazy, but there were Neanderthals, as well as these awesome hobbits that did exist right alongside with us. So if hobbit-sized people did exist, I think it's fair to say that it is possible that a species of giants could have existed as well. And they walked right into North America thousands of years ago. But if this was true, you would think the Native Americans would have legends about these giant people. And yes, you guessed it, they do. It's a huge part of their history. According to legend, the first Native Americans were giant red-haired white cannibals. When the proud Indian folk first settled here, it is told that they fought epic battles against these giants. It's also known as the Real Indian Wars. One of the most famous stories that is still being told within the tribes happened in Nevada. The story goes the Indians had an epic battle with these giants, and they won. The remaining giants retreated back to their cave. The Indians followed and cut the rest down one by one until no more giants were left alive. Even the Aztecs and Mayans recorded their encounters. The Mayans and Aztecs would explore into North America, and when they came back, they would tell tales about these huge giants that lived in the north. And it's not just North America. Not too long ago, after the Spanish arrived in the South America, they started to enslave the natives, and they forced them to work the mines and look for gold. And the natives kept dying due to disease and also from being overworked. So they had to go in search to find new slaves. The Spanish stumbled upon a place now known as the Land of the Giants. When the Spanish returned, they told their fellow comrades about these huge people. But do keep in mind, the Spanish at the time were only 5'5" on average, so to them, a group of 6 or maybe even 7 foot tall people would be considered giants. Also, the Spanish were able to enslave these people, making me believe that they were not like the 10-foot tall red-haired cannibal warriors of the north. Now we do have the legends, we have the stories, we got this guy. But what about the evidence? Giant skeletons were reported to be dug up all over North America in the past. Now we do have a lot of pictures and very, very credible witnesses. But I don't believe we have one actual skeleton on display. A lot of people believe there is a huge cover-up going on here. Whenever a giant skeleton is found, they somehow immediately disappear. Now I am a very gullible person, but even I have a hard time believing that people or some sort of shadow government would want to cover all this up, especially in the early 20th century. But I also don't think it's pure BS just to sell newspapers. Most of these alleged giant skeleton finds were discovered by very well-liked and respected archaeologists. Now if you love these type of mysteries like I do, I would highly recommend to check out the new series In Search for the Lost Giants on the History Channel, as well as check out the book, The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America. This will definitely make you wonder. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.